In this video, we're going to talk about different effects that we can obtain using different materials and different textures and channels in VRAY for Rhino. So in the previous video, we talked about the displacement effect and how we can manage also textures and mapping using some Rhino tools. And we created this sort of scene with a couple of walls. And in this video, you can see here all the topics that we are going to encounter. So we're going to talk about some special materials at first, like the car paint and the subsurface scattering, and also some additional parameters like coats and sheen. And then we will proceed with the opacity. Now, opacity, it's something similar to alpha channel in graphic design, and it's used to create basically holes in surfaces. So you can see here, this is a complete surface here in Rhino and doesn't have like holes in 3D, so it's a simple plane. But here in the rendering looks like a net, and this is achievable by using opacity. So opacity, it's kind of similar to the transparency. Well, it's the other way. So something that it's opaque is not transparent, and all the way around. Also, we can use this type of images with lights. So you can see here a light projecting a texture, which was before an opacity texture or a alpha channel texture, or can also be defined like a mask or cutout. But we're going to see this. I'm going to explain you all the different ways that you can find this type of textures. And in the background here, we have two silhouettes. Well, actually, one is a silhouette, and it's a kind of emissive material effect, which we will get by applying particular parameters. And this one here on the right, this is a PNG image, and here we can use the alpha channel, which is already within the PN image. So all we need to do is activate it. Okay, let's get started here. And so we're gonna start like usual with the simplest thing, and then we're going to increase the level. So the first material here will be car paint. I applied a car paint here with this model that you can create directly. It's a solid. You can create it in Rhino. It's called the torus. And here I applied the first material. Now for the other objects and assets here, these are all CC0, so you can download them, the models, from the website called Polyheaven. Now you can download any model here that you like to make the same test or the same exercise if you want. So here you will find the three models that I'm using, and also the images here are CC0, so public domain. This one you can get it, you can search for PNG man, and it's from the Wikimedia website. And this one here, it's a woman PNG. You can find it here in Pixabay. Again, it's CC0. Okay, so let's begin with the torus, and let's go in the material editor. Also, I often use this right here, which is gonna purge unused assets. So it's gonna get rid of everything that is not in the scene. So it's gonna make things a little bit more organized. And also this one here, it's pretty useful. Well, if you go to VRAY, when you import assets from other websites or other software, you can convert Rhino materials. So it's going to convert all the materials in VRAY materials, or you can do that by clicking on a particular object and then right clicking. It's going to create a VRAY material. It's going to place it here in the VRAY asset editor. Now, another tip when you import stuff And if you try to apply a new material and it doesn't apply, just explode that object and then recreate a group. And that should fix the issue. Okay, so in this case, I created the torus just by going here, so it's not imported and you don't have any issue with objects that you can create directly in Rhino. Okay, and then let's create our first material. So let's go to materials, and you will find here a lot of different materials. We already saw the generic and the emissive. Now I'm not going to go through all of the materials, but once you understand the mechanics of this, you can do that with every other material that you find here. So car paint, let's talk about car paint. This is a really nice material, and let's apply to the selection. You can also apply materials to layers if you have organized your work in Rhino with different layers. So if you apply to that layer, it's going to apply it to all the objects in that layer. Okay, now car paint, it's pretty similar to another glossy material, but with the addition of flakes. So you have flakes here that you can manage. You can, for example, increase these flakes, make it more visible. You can increase the size. You can also, there you go. You can also change the color here for the main material and the flakes. And so it behaves similar to what we have seen so far in VRAY. So it's different because it has this like extra layer. So these are like two materials mixing together, and you can do that. You can build materials layer by layer. You can also overlap different textures. So I'm going to do some more examples later. You can switch on and off these advanced settings if you want to see more channels that you can use. Now, another interesting channel that you can find here is the coat, but you can find this also in a standard material. So let me create a new standard material, and let's call this coat. Okay, so you can see it's also available here. And again, you can switch these advanced settings if you want to have more channels, for example, also the Sheen effect, which is pretty interesting. So let's go back to the car paint. Okay, so when you place a coat, it's like you are placing another layer on top of what you have built so far. Now you also need to understand how you want this to work. So the strength that it's gonna get, and so